Good morning, students. Welcome back to Atmiya Green School. This is Afreen Sayed, your English teacher. Students, we were learning about pronouns, and we have already learned that pronouns are words, small words, which are being used in the place of noun. So, anything which is used in the place of noun is pronoun. We have learned types of pronouns, students. We learned about personal pronoun, pronouns that stands in place of person or a thing are called personal pronoun. For example, he, she, it, we, I, you, they all are personal pronoun. Then we learned about possessive pronoun. Pronouns that shows possession are called possessive pronoun, like their, his, hers, mine, theirs. Okay. Then we learned about demonstrative pronoun. Demonstrative pronoun is used to point out a specific person, place, thing, or idea, like this, that, this, and those. Then we learned about interrogative pronoun. An interrogative pronoun introduces a question. All question which consists of WH, that is who, which, what, whose, whom, all such are interrogative pronoun. So we learned four types of pronoun: personal pronoun, possessive pronoun, demonstrative pronoun, and interrogative pronoun. Then we learned that in personal pronoun, um, there are forms of personal pronoun, which means first person, second person, and third person, in which we learned that first person is a person they refer to the speaker. When we say about first person, then it is about the speaker himself or herself. The speaker himself or herself is first person, in which there are two, singular and plural. For singular, I and me is used, and for plural, we and us is used. Then second person. Second person is a person whom we are speaking to. Second person is a person whom we are speaking to. And both in singular and plural we use you. Then we have third person. Here third person refers to person we are talking about. We are talking about. In that we have for masculine gender we use he and him. For feminine gender we use she and her. For neutral gender we use it and its. For masculine, feminine, and neuter, we use they and them. So these are forms of personal pronoun which are used. Okay. After that, we learned about reflexive pronoun, in which we learned that we use reflexive pronoun to show that doer and the receiver of the action is the same person. Doer and the receiver of the action is the same person, in which we use words like himself, herself, okay, myself, yourself, themselves. These are different reflexive pronoun. Okay. Now today we'll start with relative pronoun and indefinite pronoun. So first we'll learn about indefinite pronouns. What are indefinite pronoun? As the word says, that it is indefinite, which is not specified, or which is not specific. It talks about something which is indefinite. Pronouns that refer to the people or thing without saying exactly who or what they are called indefinite pronoun. I repeat, students, pronouns that refer to people or thing without saying exactly who or what they are. It does not specify or it does not clear out the fact that who or what they are called indefinite pronouns. Okay. Here, let's as per our as per our teaching habit which we have got into, that to make it easier and simpler to understand, we'll watch the video, and along with watching the video I'll keep on explaining the indefinite pronoun. Okay, so let's start.
Cover indefinite pronouns. As the name suggests, indefinite pronouns are pronouns that do not refer to any specific person, thing, or amount.
Yes, it do not, as the name suggests, it is indefinite. So it says it do not refer to any specific person, thing, or amount. Okay, so basically indefinite pronouns are pronouns which do not specify the person or thing or how much it is, or the amount of which it is available. Okay.
In other words, they are not specific in which noun they replace.
Yes. What does it say is that they are not specific
They
in
may be
which.
singular or plural, and
Wait, I'll
in which
again.
noun they replace.
They are not specific in which noun they replace. Okay, they are not specific that to which noun they will be get replaced. Okay, therefore they are known as indefinite because they are not specific that in which noun they will replace, to whose which noun they are going to take place of. Okay, that is not defined, or that is not definite, that is not specified, or that is not fixed.
Place. They may be singular or plural and must match the verb and number.
Yes, they may be either singular or plural, and they must match the verb in number. Yes, students, they must match the verb in number.
Some typical indefinite pronouns are singular and some are plural, as you see on the.
Yes, some of them are singular, whereas some of them are plural. Yes, some of them are singular, whereas some of them are plural. You can see here here there is a chart shown. Okay, you can say singular and plural. Okay, so and another, everybody, no one, anybody, everyone, nothing, anyone, everything, one, anything, much, somebody, each, neither, someone, either, nobody, something are used for singular, whereas in plural both, few, many, others, several, such words are used. All, any, most, none, some can be singular or plural depending on the phrase that follows them. Yes, all, any, most, none, and some. So these words can be singular, can be used in the place of singular as well as for plural depending on the phrase where they are used. So let's study it more clearly with examples.
Chart. The singular indefinite pronoun often ends in one or thing, and plurals don't. A singular pronoun takes a singular verb. For example, everybody has arrived, so we can begin the meeting.
Look, students, everybody has arrived, so we can begin the meeting. I'll repeat the entire thing for you again, students.
Every
Listen it
don't.
carefully.
A singular often ends in one or thing, and plurals don't. Indefinite or plural, and some are plural, as you see on the chart. The singular indefinite pronoun often ends in one or thing, and plurals don't. A singular pronoun takes a singular verb. For example,
Yes, the singular pronouns takes the singular verb. For example,
everybody has arrived, so we can begin the meeting.
yes, everybody has arrived, so we can begin the meeting. A singular pronoun takes a singular verb, which means when singular pronoun is used, then verb singular will be used.
Everybody is your singular indefinite pronoun
Yes, everybody is our singular indefinite pronoun and
and needs
verb.
the singular verb has.
Yes, and it is singular verb has. So everybody has arrived. So every time when you use a indefinite pronoun, then a singular, if you are using singular pronoun, then a singular verb should be used. Like everybody has arrived, so we can begin the meeting. So here both the indefinite pronoun is also singular, whereas the verb is also singular.
A plural pronoun takes a plural verb. For example,
Yes, and a plural pronoun takes a plural verb. Just like a singular pronoun takes a singular verb. Just like that, a plural pronoun will take the plural verb.
John likes coffee but not tea. I think both are good.
Yes, John likes coffee, but not tea. I think both are good. I think both are good. So here both is indefinite pronoun and it is plural. Both is indefinite pronoun as well as it is plural. And here verb are, which is plural, are, which is plural, is used. So students, you can see here that for a plural pronoun it takes a plural verb. I'll explain it again, students. John likes coffee but not tea. I think both are good. So here. So when both, that is a plural indefinite pronoun is used, then along with that ARER, that is plural verb is being used. Okay. So it proves that a plural pronoun takes a plural verb and a singular pronoun takes a singular verb.
Both is your indefinite pronoun, replacing coffee, tea, and you have a plural verb, are. Notice at the bottom of the chart, you have a list of indefinite pronouns that can be singular or plural, depending on the phrase that follows them. Here are some examples of how the pronoun all can be singular or plural. I ate all of my dinner. All
Look,
can be
students, here all, any, most, none, and some are such indefinite pronouns which can be used for both, even for singular and plural. Okay, so all, any, most, none, and some are some indefinite pronouns which can be used for both singular as well as plural.
be singular or plural. I ate all of my dinner. All is my indefinite pronoun, and if I want to know if all is singular or plural, I need to look at the object of the preposition in the phrase that follows. Dinner is singular, therefore making the indefinite pronoun all singular.
Yes, I ate all of my dinner. So, how I will be identifying that whether all is a singular or plural? How I am going to identify? So, what I am doing, I am identifying the object in the sentence. So, here, object in sentence is dinner, and dinner is a singular. If I would have used dinners, I ate all of my dinners. So it would have been plural. But students, here dinner is the object which is singular, and therefore here the indefinite pronoun all will also act as singular. I repeat, students, when your indefinite pronoun all is something which is difficult to identify whether it's singular or plural. So what you'll do, you'll go and check for object of the sentence, and here the object of sentence is my dinner. So you have to check that whether my dinner is singular or plural, and my dinner is singular. So we will use so we can say that all is a singular indefinite pronoun as our object is also singular.
Let's look at a sentence where the indefinite pronoun all is plural. I ate all of the crackers. All is my indefinite pronoun.
Look, I ate all of the crackers. Now here, whether all is singular or plural, we have to identify that. So what we'll do, we'll find for the object. And here object is, which is object, students? Crackers. Very good. Cracker is object of a sentence. So here, crackers is plural. As it has S in it, it says crackers. Crackers. So cracker is plural. So all will also turn out as plural. Is it clear? So to identify that whether it is singular or plural, you have to search for object and then see that whether your object is singular or plural.
And if I look at the object of the preposition in the phrase that follows, crackers is plural, therefore making the indefinite pronoun all plural. Note that many indefinite pronouns also function as other parts of speech.
Yes, many indefinite pronouns also function as other parts of
Look
speech.
at the pronoun another in the following sentences. He has one job in the day and another at night.
Yes, he has one job in the day and another at night.
Another in this sentence is functioning as a pronoun because it is replacing the noun job.
Yes, he has one job in the day and another at night. So, job, here job is being replaced by another. Okay, and what does the definition of pronoun says? Anything which replaces the noun is pronoun. Okay, so anything which replaces noun is a pronoun. So here job is being replaced by word another. So another is acting as a pronoun.
But let's look at this sentence. I'd like another snack, please. Another is now functioning as an adjective.
Okay. Now here, I would like another snack, please. So here, it is describing noun, that is snack. Like, which snack do you prefer? Another snack. So here, another snack is used as adjective. Here, another snack is used as adjective. So it worked as adjective. So you have to see that whether it is taking place of noun or whether it is describing noun. Students, you have to identify that when it is taking place of noun or um, when it is taking place of noun or when it is describing noun. When it is taking place of noun, then it is pronoun. But if it is describing noun, then it is adjective.
because it is answering the question, how many snacks? Another snack.
Okay, students,
This tutorial will
I
cover
hope
indefinite
you
pronouns.
understood very well.
As the
I hope students you understood the indefinite pronouns very well. Okay. Now moving forward towards relative pronoun. Okay. Now relative pronoun. Relative pronouns are used to refer back to noun or pronoun in a sentence. When we are referring back to noun and pronoun, then it is known as relative pronoun. I repeat, when we are referring back to noun or pronoun, then they are known as relative pronoun. Relative pronoun, for example, let's take an example from your book only. The woman is a doctor. She writes stories for the little children. I repeat, students, the woman is a doctor. She writes stories for little children. Okay, so this is a normal sentence. Now, the woman who writes stories for little children is a doctor. So here the woman, now here the word who describes that who is that woman. So it says that she is the one who writes stories for little children is a doctor. Okay, so it is reflecting back to women. Okay, so who is helping us to reflect back towards women? Is it clear, students? So here, when the relative pronouns are used to refer back to a noun or pronoun in a sentence, they are also used to join the sentence. Okay, they are also used to join the sentence. Um, who, whom, whose, which, that, all are relative pronoun. Okay, I repeat, who, whom, whose, which, that are relative pronoun. Students, relative pronouns are pronouns which refer back to noun and pronoun. Okay, which will take us back to noun or pronoun, which reflects back noun or pronoun. Then it is relative pronoun. Okay, so as per our habit, or this, I guess something, this is something which we enjoy learning. Okay, like watching the video and then having the explanation about the video, then it makes us easier to understand. It makes us easier to understand as you are getting audio visual effect. Okay, so students, along with the video, I'll go on explaining what is relative pronoun. I have already given you introduction that what is relative pronoun. Now, along with the video, I'll explain it again.
This lesson is about the relative pronouns. Take a look at these sentences. The woman who was shouting was angry. My garden, which is small, looks spacious. The car that drove right past me was red. The girl whose brother is in my class is nice. The man whom I sent a letter will help me. What she told me isn't true.
Yes, the woman who was shouting was angry. So, the woman who was shouting. So, here it is reflecting back. It is taking us back to now that it is talking about a woman who was shouting. My garden, which is small, looks spacious. So, it is reflecting back to the garden. That garden, which is small, looks spacious. The car that drove right past me was red. So it is reflecting back to, or it is taking back to car. So what is taking back to car? That, okay. The girl whose brother is in my class is nice. So it is taking us back to girl. So the girl whose brother, okay. The man whom I sent a letter will help me. So, which man? So, one whom I send a letter. So, it is reflecting back, or it is taking us back to man. That is now. What she told me isn't true. What she told me isn't true. So, it is taking us back to now. Okay. So, who, which, that, who are relative pronouns. Let's study.
All the underlined words are what we call relative pronouns. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how and when to use who, how and when to use which, when and how to use that, when and how to use whose, when and how to use whom, and when and how to use what.
So, here we'll learn that when and how to use all those relative pronouns.
When and how to use whom. A noun. For example, I know the artist who made this painting, and here who is a relative pronoun, and the artist obviously is a noun. A pronoun. She can tell me nothing that will change my mind. That is the relative pronoun. Nothing is the pronoun. A subclause. He told us we could go home, which came as a surprise. Which here is the relative pronoun, and we could go home is a subclause. And a main clause. I failed my exams, which I had not expected. Which here is the relative pronoun, and I failed my exams is the main cause.
Yes, students. Look, I know the artist who made this painting. So a noun artist is used with the relative pronoun who. Okay, she can tell me nothing that will change my mind. So it is she is a pronoun. Okay, and that is something which is used as a relative pronoun. Then a subclause, that is he told us we could go home, which came as surprise. So which is a relative pronoun. A main clause, I failed my exams. I failed my exam is main clause. Here in the above sentence came as surprise was a subclause. Then in the next sentence, I failed my exam was a main clause, and which worked as relative pronoun. So along with a noun, a pronoun, a subclause and main clause, different types of relative pronoun are being used.
Remember, a subclause is a clause that cannot stand on its own. The word or words a relative pronoun refers to is called the antecedent.
Yes, the word or words a relative pronoun refers to is known as antecedent. Okay, so whatever relative pronoun is referring to is known as antecedent. There was a man who was quite clever.
For example, there was a man who was quite clever. The man here is the antecedent. She told
Yes,
us
the man here is antecedent, whereas who is relative pronoun. She told us to leave, which was shock.
to leave, which was a shock. To leave here is called the antecedent.
Yes, to leave is an antecedent over here. The word or a words a relative pronoun refers to. Like to whom does it, like it is those words who, which, what, that, to whom they are referring to. So whatever they are referring to is known as antecedent. Like here, there was a man who was quite clever. So who is referring to? A man. So a man is antecedent. She told us to leave, which was a shock. So to leave is antecedent where which is referring to leave. Is that clear, students? So whatever is being referred is known as antecedent. So whichever or whatever word is being referred by a relative pronoun is known as antecedent. I repeat, students, whatever or whichever is being referred by the word is being referred by the relative pronoun is known as antecedent.
The part of the sentence that contains the relative pronoun is also called a relative clause.
Yes, the part of the sentence that contains relative pronoun is also called a relative clause. Like,
There was a man who was quite clever. Who was quite clever here is the relative clause.
yes, there was a man who was quite clever. Who was quite clever. So here quite clever is relative clause. Okay, so what is being said? It is a quite clever. So quite clever is clause over here. In the next sentence, she told us to leave, which was a shock. So a shock is a relative clause, and here antecedent is to leave. Is that clear? So whatever the result is relative clause. The cause is antecedent. Okay, we can identify like this that whatever is being caused or whatever is being referred to is antecedent, whereas whatever the result is relative clause.
She told us to leave, which was a shock. Which was a shock here is the relative clause. Now let's take a look at our first relative pronoun, who. We use who when the antecedent is a person. For example,
Yes, when you use who, we use who when antecedent is a person. Her cousin who is 5 is learning to speak English. So her cousin, here antecedent is cousin. So our antecedent is person. So relative pronoun who is being used.
her cousin, who is 5, is learning to speak English. Cousin here obviously is a person, so we use who. My neighbours, who are old, complain a lot.
Yes, my neighbors who are old complain a lot. Here, who is being referred to? Neighbors. And neighbors are obviously person. So here, who is being used?
Neighbours here are people, so persons, and we use who. Now let's take a look at the word which. We use which when the antecedent is not a person. For example, the bike which he forgot to lock was stolen.
Yes, when we use which when antecedent is not a person. Like the bike which he forgot to lock was stolen. So which refers to bike. So bike is antecedent and antecedent is not a person. So we will use which rather than using who. In the next in the next sentence, she asked for my help, which I found charming. So she asked for my help. So help is not a person. What she asked for? Okay, so that is so here which is being
She
used.
asked for my help, which I found charming. In the first example, bike obviously is a thing, so we use which. She asked for my help here is an entire clause, so again we use which. Now let's take a look at that. In order to use that, we need to find out whether the clause that we use as a relative clause is non-restrictive or restrictive.
Yes, we have to identify whether the clause is restrictive or non-restrictive. Provide information that can be
A
omitted,
non-restrictive
like
relative clause provides information that can be omitted, so information that is not essential for the sentence to make sense.
yes, a sentence which is not essential to make meaningful. If a sentence does not requires to it, provides information that can be omitted. So that is being used for the information which can be omitted. And the sentence, even after removing that part of the sentence, after whatever is used after that, even if we remove that, it does not make the sentence incomplete. Sentence can still be meaningful.
For example, my Uncle Bob, who is a butcher, has a cat. Now, the sentence, my Uncle Bob has a cat, is a perfect sentence which is grammatically correct and makes sense. So, who is a butcher here is additional information, but it's not essential to making the sentence grammatically correct or coherent. The restrictive relative clause provides information that cannot be omitted, so this
Yes, restrictive relative clause are something where the information cannot be omitted. When the information cannot be omitted. Okay, that means that if, whatever comes after that cannot be omitted. If we remove something which is used after that, then it makes the sentence incomplete and it cannot be meaningful sentence.
information cannot be left out, otherwise the sentence doesn't make any sense. The people who live here are lovely. The people are lovely. Obviously, this sentence is grammatically correct, but we don't really know which people we are talking about.
Like the people who live here are lovely. Okay, the next sentence, the people are lovely, also makes sense. But we don't know that to whom is it referring to. Like which people are lovely. Okay, so here the people who live here are lovely. So these are restrictive relative pronoun. Okay, this is a house which is very old. So this house is very old. But what? Okay,
This is a house which is very old. Again, this is a
this is a
house.
house.
Makes perfect
So,
sense grammatically.
but this is a house. But how is it? How is it is not described. So here, this is a house which is very old. Okay.
That is, but this is a house. Yes, we can see that this is a house. We need extra information on that. In a restrictive relative clause, who and which can be replaced by that.
Yes. In a restrictive relative clause, who and which can be replaced by that. I repeat, in a restrictive relative clause, who and which can be replaced by that. I repeat, students, in a restrictive relative clause, who and which can be replaced by that. The people who live here are lovely. Look, Here the sentence can be, the people that live here are lovely. Okay, then this is a house which is very old. So which can be replaced by that? This is a house that is very old. So wherever there is a restrictive relative clause, who and which can be replaced by that. Okay.
Very old. In a non-restrictive relative clause, who and which can't be replaced by that. My Uncle Bob, that is a butcher, has a cat, is grammatically incorrect.
I repeat.
Bob, that
In a non-restrictive relative clause, who and which cannot be replaced by that. Okay, wherever there is non-restrictive relative clause, then it cannot replace by that. Like my Uncle Bob, that is a butcher, has a cat. So it makes a sentence incorrect. Okay, so you can't use that in a non-restrictive relative clause. You can only use that in a restrictive relative clause.
that is a butcher has a cat is grammatically incorrect. Sometimes we can omit the relative pronoun. When the relative pronoun is not the subject of the restrictive relative clause, we can leave it out. The boys who you saw are my nephews.
Yes, omitting the relative pronoun. Sometimes we can omit the relative pronoun when the relative pronoun is not the subject of restrictive relative clause, which means the boys who you saw are my nephews. Okay, so here the boys are my nephews. We can use directly. Okay.
Here, the subject of the relative clause, so who you saw, is you and not who. The boys that you saw are my nephews.
Yes, we can use the boys that you saw are my nephews.
Again, you is the subject of the relative clause, so we could also say, the boys you saw are my nephews.
Yes. Rather than we can also say that the boys you saw are my nephews. We don't need relative pronouns.
So here we can leave the relative pronoun out because it's not the subject of the restrictive relative clause. We can also use whose. We use whose as a possessive form of who. The man whose bike was green laughed at me. Here
Yes, to show the possessive form of who. Whose is
we
used.
say that the bike belonged to a certain person, the man, so we use whose. Now sometimes we can also use whom, but it's quite informal. And we can only use it in restrictive clauses only. The doctor whom I told you about is friendly.
Yes, students, look, whom can be used in formal use instead of who. Okay, who can be used formal, whom can be used formally. Okay, in
We can
restrictive
only
clause
use it in
only. Like
restrictive clauses only.
the doctor whom I told you about is friendly. So the doctor whom I told you about is friendly. So it is used in the restrictive clause. Okay.
Doctor whom I told you about is friendly. The final relative pronoun is what. We use what when there is no antecedent.
Yes, we use what when there is no antecedent. Like what you saw is unique. So here we don't have any antecedent. So here what is being used. Okay, students. So we have you have already learned that how indefinite pronouns are used, how relative pronouns are used, possessive pronouns, personal pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, and interrogative pronouns. I hope students now you are very much clear with pronouns. So this was last class with pronoun. Okay. Thank you so much, students. Have a good day. Stay safe and stay happy.